Teasley. She picks the ball loose, and this is because Nikki Teasley is not handling the ball for LA as well.
She was right up on her, aggressive D, and you can see the kick. But then Tamika Williams with the big steal at the end of the game gets the bucket and the foul. And the bench is going crazy, but they still had another chance. The Sparks couldn't get the shot off, though. Great defense all around. It was a team effort from the Lynx to get that victory.
Yep, Chanel Burst with the strip, Michael Cooper, and the Sparks heading back to their locker room. And in talking to Michael Cooper, you look at Susie McConnell-Serio there. Coop is known for some of his motivational tactics that he picked up from the likes of Pat Riley. Asking him tonight, what will you use to motivate your players? He says, no gimmicks tonight. It's all about pride.
Yeah, it's all about pride. They know they have to win this game, or there's no more basketball for the Los Angeles Sparks. They're a veteran team. They've won this championship here before. They know what it takes, and he expects a lot from this veteran group.
As far as Susie McConnell-Serio is concerned, she really relishes this underdog role. She really likes that for her team and feels like maybe they're playing even looser than the Sparks.
Yeah, you know, she's very pleased with her team. She is so proud of their effort and the fact that they never gave up. And she talked to the group. She said the other evening when they were down at half, and just said, we have to come out and play aggressive basketball. We've got to go out and pick up the D, and that's exactly what they did, and they applied pressure and got the turnovers.
Up and away from LA, game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals. Will there be a Monday night for the two-time defending champion LA Sparks? And there is Nikki Teasley in the starting lineup and in control. Down low, Lisa Leslie gets the Sparks started.
No surprises there. Lisa Leslie got into early foul trouble in the game in Minnesota, so I'm sure we'll see a much smarter defensive play by her tonight.
Picked up her 5th personal foul with over 10 minutes to play in the second half, and that was part of the reason why Minnesota did indeed rally back from 21 down. Beating the big dog again, although this time it's Alicia Milton. They go to her in the low post, but not able to grab it, and it goes out of bounds. First turnover for the Sparks.
So a quick turnover, some good collapsing defense by Minnesota as everybody was down in the lane. As we said, Nikki Teasley out there for LA, a big factor in this game. We didn't know if she would be back or not, but she looks pretty healthy so far.
Oh, beautiful interior feed by Abrasamova. And we are tied at 2. Tamika Dixon also was in foul trouble in that game as well. She picked up her 5th personal with over 10 minutes to go.
That really hurt the Sparks because they lost Teasley at the point. Then they brought in Shaquela Williams. She went out with an injury as well. But Minnesota, offensively, finding the openings. You can see the defense had all shifted way up in the lane that time, and Burst just slipped into the gap down low.
Teasley for 3. A little too strong. Tapped out to Milton. Teasley finished the WNBA regular season 3rd overall in three-point field goal percentage. Leftward amidst 3 defenders, and she'll head to the stripe.
Yeah, the triple team there by Minnesota. And that's what it takes to stop a player like Lisa Leslie. She fills out the defense. Williams does a nice job. Burst comes over, though. Just kept moving a little too much, and they hit her for it. Nice effort by Lisa Leslie to find that opening. She felt out the D, got herself a shot.
And it illustrates what Svetlana Abrasamova said before this game. Hey, we will double team, we will triple team Lisa Leslie, whatever it takes to slow her down.
Yeah, she is such an impressive player. MVP from last season.
1 of 2 at the line for Leslie. She has all 3 of the Sparks' early points. Teresa Edwards, good pass Teasley along the baseline. Oh, Katie Smith straight, a little strong, almost goes over the top of the board. Jerked out of there by Lisa Leslie. Wadi Mabika, her pass intercepted by Abrasamova. Mabika, she probably has some shadows in her mind of that final pass that was intercepted by Tamika Williams. First, and 1.
I spoke with McConnell-Serio, the coach of the Minnesota Lynx, before the game about Janelle Burst, and this is a player, 6'5" out of Tulane, who has come on so strong. And what she's doing, the defense shifts up. She's going to the baseline, finding the gaps. She has really impressed me this season as I've watched her play, and she's really come on strong. She's also making a lot of other teammates, like a Tamika Williams, have a much better game as well down low because she forces defenders to match up against her.
For the regular season, Burst averaged 7 points, but she started the last 14 games and doubled that averaged nearly 14 points and 6 boards.
Yeah, they had a few injuries, and it forced her into the starting spot.
Right down Main Street goes Delisha Milton.
Milton is such an explosive player, and right there you see the help by V from Delisha Milton.
Tied up at 5. In transition, Dixon left it wide. Supported there by Teresa Edwards. 39 years young, Teresa Edwards.
With 9 assists in the victory in Minnesota. She's really been an addition and given this Minnesota team the veteran leadership that they needed.
First, nearly drawing yet another personal foul on Lisa Leslie. And that's going to be one of the keys, is finding out how the referees call this game, especially with Leslie inside, spinning, wouldn't drop it, tapped out into the hands of Milton.
You're right, Tom, because Lisa Leslie into early foul trouble, I think, was as big a factor as losing Nikki Teasley at the point the other night in the Minnesota game.
Lining up the 3. Mabika nails it. Mawadi Mabika. She had 15 points in game number 1, but also registered 7 turnovers.
That hurt. Way too many turnovers for Los Angeles.
Rosamova in a crowd, and back come the Sparks. Teasley to Dixon. Beautiful dish inside, and the finish by Mawadi Mabika.
Los Angeles is running the court so well. This crowd getting into it here at Staples Center. Not going to be easy for Minnesota to come in here and try to get a win.
The LA Sparks had won 9 consecutive postseason games until game number 1 in Minnesota.
Los Angeles trying to pick up the tempo a little bit, but you can see the excellent ball movement. Dixon is such a threat. She draws the defenders over and then finds a wide open Mawadi Mabika, but the communication is right on. Everybody from Minnesota to the right, Mabika by herself on the left.
Mabika, first team all WNBA last season, registering a career-high 17 points per game. Dropped off to 14 this season, but what a trio that is when you look at Mabika, Milton, and Leslie, along with the backcourt of Dixon and Teasley. All 5 starters averaging in double figures this regular season.
Well, that says a lot. Not as much from the bench. It drops off after that, but all 5 in double figures. So many scoring threats. That's what makes it so difficult with help side D for Minnesota. You can see the defense comes over, but that leaves a wide open player like Mabika.
10-5, Janelle Burse has all 5 of Minnesota's points. Baseline Edwards off the feed from Tamika Williams as she headed backdoor.
Yeah, the 39-year-old with a backdoor cut. You'd never know it.
Look at the pressure applied to Lisa Leslie. Cross court, they leave Mabika open. Now it's Teasley. 5 left for 3. But again, LA with the offensive board.
Yeah, that hurts. A much bigger and stronger team right now. LA crashing the boards, giving themselves a second opportunity.
Tamika Dixon going deep for 3. And the lead is 6 for the Sparks.
Tom, right now, Los Angeles being forced to take the outside shots, but they've been able to connect on a couple of them. The Lynx really down in the paint.
And first, drawing the foul on Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie, following game number 1, said it was a sad day for women's basketball, alluding to the officiating when she got into foul trouble. So the big question for Michael Cooper tonight would be, how tightly will this game be officiated?
They're testing the waters, and it's been very physical, and he said before the game she has to play a much smarter game, and now she already has 2.
Second personal foul on Lisa Leslie, 15:29 to go, first half. LA Sparks are 2 of 4 behind the line, but Lisa Leslie has picked up her second personal foul here in the first 4.5 minutes of the game.
Minnesota has a game plan. They're going to go inside to Janelle Burse, and you can see the aggressive play by her, and Leslie just one hand up, shifting her body over. She doesn't agree, but smart tactic by the Minnesota Lynx. That's the right idea, and Janelle Burse is calling for it. She's asking for it in there.
And Michael Cooper was not blaming the officials after game number 1. He said Lisa Leslie needs to make better decisions defensively.
Yeah, he also said, you know, you can't blame them because they played well in the first half, and they weren't blaming them then. They just have to play much smarter and much better.
Burse off the mark. on that first free toss. Third-year player out of Tulane, shoots 77% from the line. And now picks up her 6th point. 5-point edge for the Sparks. Again, LA needing the victory here to keep their hopes of a 3rd straight title intact. If they do win, it will be a Game 3 on Monday night, right back here at the Staples Center. Sparks on a 10-3 run over the last 2:20. Easily harassed by Katie Smith. Now they try to drop it in low to Leslie. Knocked out of there, and here comes Katie Smith. She's stripped from behind by Dixon. 3-on-2. Beasley finds Mabika, who finds Leslie. Unable to finish. Chasing it down in the corner is Burse.
Chanel Burse really causing problems for Lisa Leslie. That was 2 defensive stops. Big effort by her. First a topside steal, and then she displayed aggressive defense right there.
Backdoor cut by Cherie Sam, who checked in during the timeout. And the lead is now 3 for LA. Exterminated. Chanel Burse throws it out, and it goes out of bounds.
Chanel Burse happy to be getting the minutes. Impressive play by her. LA trying to pick up the tempo a little bit as Dixon tries to get a fast break opportunity to Burse. Wouldn't have anything with that.
So Cherie Sam checking in during the timeout, replacing Abrosimova. And the top performer off the bench in Minnesota. Plenty of time on the shot clock for LA as Tamika Dixon handles it out top.
Los Angeles likes to pick up the tempo. They want to get out and run a little bit more. Minnesota's defense has really forced them to set things up in the half-court set.
Beasley, 3 for 3. Katie Smith comes away with it. On the run out, Cherie Sam tipped out of bounds. They say it went off of Sam. Mabika was there defensively.
Coach McConnell-Serio said that when they picked the tempo up in the last outing in Minnesota, it really helped their team. So Minnesota's trying to pick up the tempo a little bit as well, but they got to take care of it. And afford the turnovers. Right now, Minnesota with 4.
Really travels, and now chopped from behind, I believe, by Edwards. They do call it on Therese Edwards. What a phenomenal athlete she is. I mentioned 39 years old and the only American basketball player, male or female, to compete in 5 Olympics. She won 4 gold medals.
Pretty impressive. Just an amazing player who's been around so long. This is a player who just this season decided to come in and play in the WNBA. I had a chance to speak with her, and she said this was just the right time. She was a former Olympic teammate with Coach McConnell-Serio, had played for Nancy Darsh, one of the assistants for Minnesota, and just felt like it was time.
Lane violation against the Sparks. You're right, Teresa played in the 1988 and 92 Olympics with Susie McConnell-Serio, who then did the recruiting job to bring her over to the WNBA. Edwards now with the dribble, plenty of ABL and international experience for Edwards. Cherie Sam lines up a 3. It's going to be too strong. Into the corner, chase down, looked like it went off of Dixon. And Minnesota will have it with a fresh 30 on the clock.
Just amazing that this team struggled so much with Los Angeles, 0-4 in the regular season. Hadn't won a game for 16 consecutive tries and finally got one in Minnesota, and they're hanging tough in this one.
Edwards fires up a 3. Where you have to go back to June of '99. Prior to that game-on victory for Minnesota, the last time they beat the Sparks. Pull-up J in transition for Tamika Dixon.
She is so smooth. Averaged 14 points per game in the regular season. Has been plagued with some knee injuries, but when Dixon is on, she is tough.
5 points for Dixon, a 6-point edge for the Sparks. And don't discount the defensive presence, too, of Nikki Teasley out there on the floor. A very sizable point guard. In deep, Williams finds Katie Smith. And on the rebound, a loose ball foul against Katie Smith.
A nice idea by Katie Smith. Little cut there. Really, Williams had nowhere to go, and Smith was trying to bail her out.
Offensively, Susie McConnell-Serio wants to see Katie Smith launching as many shots as she can get. Says sometimes she's too unselfish. First trying to tie up Milton. And there's Teasley. She was riding the stationary bike as Edwards is now her patented kick move. Fresh 30 on the shot clock, but it was a game-time decision for Nikki Teasley whether or not she would go here tonight following the knee injury in game number 1. But we could tell a couple hours before the game she was out there on the stationary bike and she had her game face on. Nikki Teasley is going to suit up in this pivotal game number 2.
Yeah, you knew if she could ride the bike, she was going to be on the court. There was no doubt about it. And luckily, no major injury to the knee that they know of, probably just a contusion.
Katie Smith, the main force behind that victory in game number 1 for the Minnesota Lynx, finishing with 24 points. Most of the damage done, though, in the second half.
First in the WNBA and 3-pointers made. A beautiful stroke, 4-time All-Star. She's such a leader for this team. She's been with the Minnesota Lynx since the very beginning and has finally now gotten a group of teammates around her that knows how to win.
8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from behind the line in game 1 for Katie. Edwards knocks it off the foot of Teasley. It'll be Lynx ball.
Aggressive man-to-man pressure by Minnesota, and this is not the kind of team that's going to give you full court pressure the whole game, but occasionally they like to throw some different things at them, and right now the Sparks struggling with the half-court offense.
Minnesota in their first ever postseason play. 5th season in existence in the WNBA. Picked off by Mapika. Unable to finish, but pass home by Nikki Teasley.
Mapika is so explosive, one of the greatest athletes in the WNBA. She is just so athletic, such quickness.
She was actually the Sparks' leading scorer in the WNBA Finals last year. Edwards past Teasley into the corner looking for Sam, but it's poked out of there. Here comes Dixon. Nearly throws it back court, but the lanky Lisa Leslie saves it.
That one had been up to Teasley. They wouldn't have gotten it, but the long arms of Lisa Leslie just reached over and got it.
Alicia Milton, bucket and 1.
This crowd loving it. Signs everywhere, making noise and trying to get their team into it and on a run.
11:42 to go here in the first half. Alicia Milton now has 5 points. She'll try to finish off the 3-point play when we come back. You are watching the WNBA playoffs on NBA TV. 7-0 run the last 2 minutes and 14 seconds, and Milton will head to the line when they return to the floor. Try to finish off a 3-point play. LA shooting 50% from the field so far, 8 of 16.
With Alicia Milton has really come out ready to play. She was a very silent player in Minnesota. Didn't hear much from her, really didn't feel her presence, but she's a player that when players are out with injuries, foul trouble, whatever it might be, Alicia Milton's a veteran and really former Olympian needs to step up.
She finished with a flurry during the regular season, the second to last week of the regular season, named the WNBA Player of the Week when she averaged nearly 20 points and 10 boards. And she does indeed corral that 3-point play. Biggest lead so far by the Sparks, it's 11. But remember, they led by 21 in the second half against the pesky Minnesota team, the 4th seed in the Western Conference. Christy Harrower now running the point. The Arch Deluxe by Harrower. Rebounded by Milton.
Good boxed out by Los Angeles that time. No Lynx players even close to that.
Always amazed at that shot by Harrower. Just impossible to keep it in frame on television as Lisa Leslie sticks the outside J.
Nice range from Lisa Leslie. Beautiful shot just outside the lane.
And the lead is now 13-5 in the first half so far for Leslie. Tamika Williams has been awfully quiet here in the first 9 minutes of play. It's Katie Smith. Tapped away, and now into the hands of Michelle Van Gorp, who's checked in. Cross court, Cherie Sam, wide open from 16. Rolls around and drops.
Cherie Sam got the shooter's touch. They picked her up second. Number 2 overall in the dispersal draft from Miami last season. And a big pickup for them, a big scoring threat for the Lynx.
An all-star last season, in fact, for the Miami Soul. Beasley, a little ball handling exhibition. Leslie unable to can back-to-back jumpers, and here comes Minnesota in transition. Trailing by 11. Michelle Van Dorp has been battling an elbow injury, and it goes out of bounds. Minnesota will retain possession. 20 seconds to go on the shot clock.
Michelle Van Dorp, another player that has had limited minutes because of her elbow injury and doesn't have it padded up, but it's just a chronic sore elbow that she has.
Therese Ann loses it. She said she was hacked there by Teasley. No call.
Let him play. It's a physical kind of game.
Minnesota now with their 7th turnover of the first half. When you look at these two teams too, Krista, and the experience as Milton left it dry and drains the three. When you look at the playoff experience, it's certainly in favor of the LA Sparks. They came into this series with their players having notched 128 games of WNBA playoff experience. Only 9 games for Minnesota, but that can be deceiving because of some of the Olympians and a player like Teresa Edwards.
Exactly. Many of these players, like a Katie Smith, an Olympian, and they've been through so many experiences through their college games. You've got Williams from UConn. She knows how to win.
Yeah, and that is pressure-packed situations playing there in the NCAA finals. So it really shouldn't be too surprised if they gave LA all they could handle in game 1. And a loose ball foul against LA. Leslie down on the floor.
Illegal was a collision with Van Dorp, and she's speaking with the officials because she was not able to get up after. Now she runs into Tamika Williams, falls down. You see Michelle Van Dorp come over and sort of straddle her there. And Leslie's saying, "You see what I'm dealing with here? I can't even get up.
Can't get a call."
Can someone help me?
The whistle was against Mabika. Harrower hacked on her way to the hoop by Dixon, and we'll see if this is a continuation to send Harrower to the line. No, they'll bring it in from out of bounds. Christy Harrower starting her WNBA career in Phoenix with the Mercury. Really one of only 2 players with WNBA playoff experience on this squad.
And Tom, I think Christy Harrower has been a big difference off the bench for this team. She's come in, put in big minutes. She's got international experience because she's with the national team in Australia, and she brings so much to the point.
That time turns it over. She played 22 solid minutes in game 1.
Just when I'm praising her, she turns it over.
Dixon kicks it out to Teasley now. Leslie double team. Back to Leslie. In deep. And open Mabika. And she cans it from 15 feet. Moati Mabika.
Beautiful ball movement by Los Angeles that time. Inside, outside. Mabika wide open. And that's what happens when you have that many scoring threats. The help side D was there, but the recovery wasn't.
Every one of the Sparks starters have scored here in the first half, and Williams is fouled in the low post.
Los Angeles has done a great job. They're keeping the floor spread. Dixon draws the defense. They move it inside. The double team's there. They just work it inside, outside, back outside again. And finally an open look from Mabika.
You saw this during the NBA playoffs, too, with the San Antonio Spurs when you throw 2 or 3 players at a Tim Duncan. That leaves those shooters open from behind the line. If Minnesota can consistently hit those outside shots, the LA Sparks, with that pressure on Leslie, they're going to be in good shape here in game number 2 as Katie Smith drains the 3-pointer for Minnesota, pulling them to within 13 now.
Got to keep a hand in her face, though. And it's interesting, though, Katie Smith has an interesting shot because it's almost to the side of her ear, which makes it even more difficult for the defender to get up there and get a hand on it.
She set personal career highs in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. Dixon at the 2 for Tamika Dixon. Back up to a 15-point edge for LA.
Dixon with 9 points already in this game.
She and Milton both have 9. And a turnover for the Minnesota Lynx. A 15-point advantage for the LA Sparks, trying to force a game number 3 on Monday night. You're watching the WNBA playoffs on NBA TV. LA Sparks on a 16-5 run over the Lynx. Let's take a look at our Bud Light peak performers, starting with the 2003 WNBA season scoring leaders, led by Lauren Jackson of the Storm.
Boy, how impressive is that? They know how to put the points on the board. Lauren Jackson, though, the best season I've seen her play. And 21 points per game. Shamika Holtzfather right behind her, no matter what's going on, even though she's hurt, and she had a lot of injuries this year. But Holtzclaw able to be there, and then she's on the board as well. Top in rebounding, 11 per game.
Rookie Cheryl Ford finishes second. They will share $25,000, compliments of Bud Light, a portion of which will be donated to each of the players' local charity of their choice. So a lot of talk about who's MVP, a lot of those names being bandied about. Cheryl Ford, you like her chances as well and the impact she had in Detroit.
You know, she's just a rookie, but she's been very impressive. If you're looking at the points and the numbers category, she's all over the place. Very impressive first year for her.
Only 3 players averaging a double-double this season. Lisa Leslie of the Sparks, Shaniqua Holtzclaw, and the rookie, Cheryl Ford. Playing through quite a bit of agony, too, in the passing of her grandmother.
I think a lot of people thought about the Catchings at Indiana also as a possibility for MVP. And some people don't even mention a Katie Smith as a possibility for most valuable player. And this is a player that's been consistent with her game.
Offensive foul, though, whistled against Katie Smith of the Lynx.
You can see the elbow. You can see she tipped her shoulder down and then shoved it off a little bit. That'll get you open. It also gets you a foul.
Svetlana Abrosimova has returned for the Lynx, who trail by 15. LA doubling up so far here on Minnesota in Game 2. And there were some worried faces in the camp of the Minnesota Lynx going into this game. They knew there was a chance that LA could run away with it. Now, again, this game is far from over, especially after what transpired in game number 1. But you can see the game face on every one of those LA Sparks players. They know that, as Michael Cooper said, okay, their backs are not stapled up against the wall here at the Staples Center, but they are up against the wall.
Yeah, it's do or die. Yep. It's a matter of how long do you want your season to go. Minnesota, though, has put themselves in the best-case scenario. They get the win at home, and now they have 2 shots at it.
Offensive foul, a moving pick on Tamika Dixon of the Sparks. The winner of this series will then take on the winner of the Houston-Sacramento series, the Monarchs winning Game 1. Oh,
you can see the shoulder and Harrower. She was just looking for the official, hoping that the call would be made. Dixon leaned over to her right just a little too much, and she's going to take a breather.
Bone-chilling shoulder shot there by Tamika Dixon. That won't shake up Christy Harrower. She is one of the scrappier players in the WNBA. She reminds me so much of Debbie Black, the two of them. Abrosimova travels on her way to the bucket.
Abrosimova with the European long steps, one too many strides, doesn't get away with it here.
She had quite the regular season, too, against the LA Sparks. In the 4 games, all of which Minnesota lost, Abrosimova actually averaged 17 points per game. She had 10 in game number 1. Help from Michelle Van Gorp, and now a mismatch down low. Leslie throws up the left-handed hook. And the smallest player on the floor, Harrower, comes away with a rebound. On the inner along with Krista Blunt here from the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles. Team number 2, the Lynx and the Sparks. Tamika Williams on the cap.
The double team went over on Van Gorp. That was a smart play by Williams. She just ran down the middle of the lane. That was just hustle and effort.
She finished 4th in the WNBA in offensive rebound. Rattles out, and Harrow with another rebound. Pushes it up the floor to a wide-open Tamika Williams. A sleeping transition defense for LA.
Williams on the season averaging 67%, most of which are layups. That was just pure hustle again by Tamika Williams.
The Minnesota Lynx have now pulled to within 11. They've scored the last 4 points, but what really upset head coach Michael Cooper is the lack of intensity getting back down the floor.
And right now in this timeout, I'm sure he's got a few words to try to inspire his team to pick him up.
Could they have another comeback in their back pocket? Right now, an 11-point edge. Follow the 2003 WNBA playoffs on WNBA.com with photo galleries, video highlights, player mailboxes, and a complete look back at the WNBA playoffs history. Plus, get the inside scoop from Susie McConnell-Serio, Delisha Milton, and more. WNBA.com.
So far, the playoffs have been very exciting. Close games right down to the wire.
And today we have Connecticut, the first team to advance to the second round as they swept Charlotte.
That's huge. A lot of people picking Charlotte to win the East.
Connecticut, in their first year of existence, Nikki Peasley fires one from three-point range and a loose ball foul against LA.
It looked like Minnesota might have gone into a zone defense out of the timeout. Threw LA off a bit.
So Minnesota on a 7-2 run, pulling to within 11. Katie Smith choked off Michelle Van Gorp. Bad elbow and all, and she drains the J.
That's some range for Van Gorp, a player who wouldn't even attempt a shot the last game. Played 4 minutes, but her elbow was hurting her so badly, just could not even play anymore. Not even hesitating on that, although she did shoot around practice today.
So Minnesota has whittled off 7 points from that LA lead, and now within 9 as Abrosimova knocks it out of bounds. 17 seconds on the shot clock. There is Susie McConnell-Serio, the one-time newcomer of the year in the WNBA when she played with the Cleveland Rockers, and an all-WNBA first-team performer, and quite a successful high school coach.
She was 13 years, 2-time state champion at Oakland Catholic High in Pittsburgh. Just an impressive record, but her first opportunity this year to coach in the WNBA.
And here's what's ahead for the WNBA playoffs. First at 12 noon, it's Game 2 tomorrow between the Cleveland Rockers and the Detroit Shock. Detroit leading the series 1-0, and they are the top seed for as long as they last throughout the playoffs with the best record in the league. Then at 4:30 Eastern, Game 2, Comet and Monarch series, and that winner will play the winner of this series between McConnell-Serio's Lynx and the Sparks. Dixon nails them both from the stripe, and it's back to an 11-point edge. LA in the full court press. Minnesota actually went, I was going to say, with Christy Harrower and Teresa Edwards both on the floor for most of the second half, and they picked up the pressure, but Van Gorp throws it away into the hands of Dixon. 12th turnover now for the Lynx.
That hurts. This is a team that averaged 16 per game in the regular season.
Leslie double team now right in the grill of Van Gorp, who sends it out of bounds.
So Leslie looking for the call. She has 3 personal fouls now. With just a little over 3.5 left here in the first half.
Inbounds to Milton. Unable to drop that 4-footer, but it goes off the shoulder of Mabika out of bounds, and Minnesota will take possession. 3:45 to go here in the first half.
On the turnover factor, really, the advantage for Los Angeles. They forced 12 turnovers. They've gotten 14 points off of those turnovers. That makes a big difference in a game like this.
Minnesota trailing by 11, but shooting 50% from the field. And it's the turnovers that are killing them. That's their 13th here in the first half. Dixon, that's the 2, and Gorp chips it away.
That's a quick shot by Los Angeles. They really didn't use much of the clock on that one.
And they have missed their last 7 shots from the field, has LA. And that's allowed Minnesota to creep back into this. Katie Smith creating some space, kicks it over Abrosimova, 3 for 3. And it's an 8-point lead now for LA. Svetlana Abrosimova helping Minnesota fall back even closer here in the final stages of the first half. Beasley now switched up, checked by Van Gorp, and it's Harrower receiving help from Williams on Leslie. Milton for 3, too strong. They've missed 8 in a row. On the run out, Katie Smith. Abrosimova finds her late, and Smith saves it. Beasley throws it off of Abrosimova. Wild exchange there. Abrosimova had Katie Smith, but about 2 ticks too late to find on the breakaway layup.
Yeah, she was trying to pick up the speed. She made Katie Smith go out sprinting. Katie tried to save it. I'm surprised Beasley even went after that one as it was angling out of bounds, but she got a break as Abrosimova sort of bodied up to her and pushed her out of bounds.
Beasley so far has 4 points and 3 assists. Again, she was a game-time decision following that knee injury in game number 1, and she played only 10 minutes. This is it down low to Leslie. Mabika fires for 3. Rebounded there by Teresa Edwards, who's just checked back in for Minnesota. The lead is 8 for LA, and up by as many as 16 here in the first half. Under 2 minutes to play here in the first half. from the ball. An offensive foul on Minnesota's Michelle Van Gorp.
Los Angeles has been asking for it. She's such a physical player. As Van Gorp crosses the lane, you see the right elbow come across Milton. She went flying.
When they drafted her, they called Nikki Teasley the Mini Magic. You see some similarities in their game.
What a career at North Carolina. She came in, they didn't know how she would do here.
Lisa Leslie with the bucket and some change and a shot to the head.
It is physical. Minnesota has always been one of the most physical games, and Michelle Van Gorp, I think, got hit as well. Maybe they hit heads, I'm not sure.
They did headbutt each other.
There's Van Gorp, bodies up. Didn't really see it, but maybe as Leslie turned, might have caught an elbow, but both have been holding their foreheads.
So Lisa Leslie, who missed 11 games during the regular season after injuring her knee in the All-Star game, unable to finish off that three-point play. And during that absence, the Sparks just 4-7 without Lisa Leslie.
Yeah, a lot of people saying she can't be MVP in the league. She missed 11 games. There's no way. But when she came back, they moved back up into first, and they started winning again.
Shows you exactly why she should receive votes as an MVP candidate. They're talking, it's just like Barry Bonds being out of the lineup for the Giants.
Yeah.
You really see their value when they're away. Van Gorp comes up shy. Leslie clears it to Teasley. Up ahead now to Dixon. She'll slow it down with 1:15 to go here in the first half. 10-point lead for LA.
The transition defense by Minnesota has been excellent. They're really forcing LA to slow things down, set things up.
Beats Leslie. Now it's Mavika. 7 on the shot clock. Leslie, 4 on the clock. Just past her outstretched hands, out of bounds. Turnover LA. That is their 7th TO here in the first half.
Leslie and Van Gorp have been going at it, and Van Gorp's going to take a breather as Burst comes back in.
52 seconds to go until the break. And a 10-point lead for Los Angeles. Michael Cooper in his 4th year as head coach of the LA Sparks, searching for his 3rd consecutive title here in the WNBA. He has done a miraculous job since taking over this team. His first 3 years actually led this team to the best record in the league. And a doubleheader on ESPN2 tomorrow. We told you about the Cleveland Rockers and the Detroit Shock at noon. Detroit leading that series 1-0. Then at 4:30 Eastern, Game 2 of the Comets and the Monarchs. Sacramento surprised Houston by winning game number 1 last night. And Monday, if necessary, right here on NBA TV, it will be game number 3, the deciding game of this series. That game is set for 10 p.m. Eastern time. That, of course, if the LA Sparks take game 2. And you just came from that game number 1 between the Monarchs and Houston Comets. What was your analysis of that one?
No surprises, Tom, no surprises. The Monarchs knew they had to win. And that's what's been interesting, really, with all of the first-round games, other than Cleveland, who almost upset Detroit in Cleveland. They were so close in that game. Everybody's done what they have to do, win on their home court, and force the advantage team to win 2 in a row on their home court.
Cheryl Swoops, 28 points, and now the series shifting back to Houston. And that was a very interesting battle between LA and Houston for the top seed in the West. LA and Michael Cooper winning their last 5 regular season games to snatch away that number 1 seed.
Yeah, and Houston had a very tough road schedule late in the season. They got caught up in the blackout of New York, had to fly back home and then back to New York again. But no excuses. They're a very talented team, and they're very capable of putting a lot of points up there. Sacramento's going to have their hands full in Houston.
7th season of the WNBA, and we have had 2 title winners in the first 6 years. The first 4, Houston. The next 2, LA. Pretty remarkable.
It really is. It's also exciting to see some of these new faces, some of the new teams coming in. A team like Minnesota, who's never been to the playoffs. But if it's up to Los Angeles, if it's up to this crowd, they want their Sparks to be back there.
These fans want to return on Monday night. A little extra labor for the players on Labor Day weekend. Katie Smith, harassed there by Mavika. Hangs in the air, draws the foul from Delisha Milton, and Katie Smith heads to the stripe.
Katie Smith is so strong. She creates offense. She's also She's got some quick foot speed as well, right off the dribble. She elevates herself up, keeps herself squared up. She's just a very smart player.
We talk so much about her offense, too. She's a very underrated defender as well. She's shut down some of the top offensive performers in the league this season for Minnesota.
She is. What's nice about Katie, she's 5'11". She's a guard, she's a forward, she's whatever you need her to be because she's strong enough to take on a bigger, stronger player. She's also quick enough to keep up with some of the quicker guards.
See those broad shoulders on Katie Smith. She has helped carry this Minnesota team into their first postseason berth. Shaquilla Williams has just checked in for the final 30 seconds for LA. Lisa Leslie collides with Harrower, nearly flattened the 5'8" Christy Harrower, who picks up the personal foul.
Lisa Leslie, even though she has 3 personals, she does not back down. She continues to play the physical style of play. She says, hey, I'm 2-time MVP here. I can probably get a few calls, can't I? You know, she's not afraid to take it in, but that's a very close call as Harrower came over. That had been a charge. That was at least in big trouble going into that.
We talked about how brilliant Lisa Leslie is. She's actually reached the trifecta in MVP. She's in the MVP of the league, of the All-Star game, and back-to-back finals MVP awards as well.
Yeah, the first to have all 3 titles. Pretty impressive.
And she gives the Sparks another 10-point lead. Minnesota appears content to take the final shot of the first half. Stick around for our halftime show here on NBA TV. We'll send it back to our Secaucus studios and Mark Morgan. Under 10 seconds for Katie Smith. She'll release for 3. Off the front of the rim, Tamika Williams hacked in the back of the head. Did not receive the call. 4.4 seconds to go. Williams had tremendous offensive rebounding position, and she's still shaking her head at the no call.
She did, but they let them play and wind it down.
Final seconds for Dixon. We have reached the end of the first half here from the Staples Center with the LA Sparks trying to stay alive in the WNBA playoffs, and they lead the Lynx by 10. 36-26 here at the break. We will head back to our NBA TV studios in Secaucus and Mark Morgan.
Kind of player, though, that can back it up. 9 points already, 4 steals. That's impressive. It's really been tenacious defense from LA that's caused those turnovers.
And Adrian Williams saying that she expects the LA Sparks to win this game. Again, not only were Dixon and Lisa Leslie in foul trouble, but they had already lost Nikki Peasley to that injury in the first half. Nikki Peasley adding that calmness and composure that Michael Cooper talks about, and she's out there ready for the second half with the ball in her hands right now.
She really does. She's a tall, strong guard at 6 foot at the point. She'll give you so much in that position.
And when you look at the final seconds of game number 1, when Teresa Edwards kicked that ball away, as Peasley now starting to get into it with Abrosimova. They go cheek to cheek. Talk about them being fighting words from Tamika Dixon. Nikki Peasley is ready for a fight here in the second half to maintain their title hopes. Dixon now harassed by Teresa Edwards. But again, if you look at Nikki Peasley in control of the dribble in the final seconds, LA gets a shot off in the final 10 and possibly wins that game at the Target Center.
Yeah, that made the difference, really. Just a combination of those things, with Leslie out in foul trouble and then Peasley not there at the point.
Alicia Milton earns a ticket to the stripe, banging the offensive glass.
Los Angeles really attacking Minnesota. Mafika off, but on the offensive glass, Los Angeles, and they've done a great job, in particular in the first half. Out-rebounding Minnesota, crashing the glass. They got 9 points. In the second chance column, just 2 for Minnesota, so just big hustle points for the Sparks.
Milton now the first player to reach double figures in this game. And Krista, we really haven't touched on what a turbulent season it has been for the LA Sparks. They've had some off-the-court problems. They've had on-the-court injuries to their star players, and yet they find themselves now possibly controlling the tempo here in the second half and trying to force a game 3. But this has not been an easy run for Michael Cooper this time through.
No, and a lot of people don't mention Michael Cooper as a possibility for Coach of the Year, but this is a coach who's had so many obstacles, and they've still managed to stay in first in the West.
He's going to have to vie with Bill Laimbeer. The turnaround that Laimbeer has orchestrated in Detroit is miraculous, to say the least.
No doubt about it. Just amazing. That hasn't happened since 1890.
Biggest turnaround in WNBA history. He took over a team that started 0-10. Teasley, and she carries the ball, says referee Tommy Nunez.
But Tom, that's a call, and something that I see in every single game, but it doesn't always get called. So interesting to see that in the playoffs. Many of the guards carry the ball.
Abrosamova's pass picked off by Milton. Minnesota averaged 16 turnovers per game. That was second worst in the WNBA. They already have 16 here early in the second half. He's 3 for 3. Tapped around and back to the hands of Dixon. Now it's Mabika on the drive down Main Street. Rims out. Lisa Leslie with the putback.
Too many opportunities. Minnesota not boxing out. And give credit to the Sparks crashing the boards, and Leslie with the left hand.
Leslie now in double figures with 11 points. Katie Smith just 1 of 4 from the field in the first half. Has architecturally perfect jumper. Nothing but net for Katie Smith.
They were calling for that when they want the ball in her hands more, and that's just Katie Smith creating. She uses the screen, just one dribble, and she's open.
Leslie watches it go off her hands out of bounds, and a turnover for the Sparks. That is number 9.
You can tell whose hands the Sparks want the ball in, though. They've really been trying to push the ball inside to Lisa Leslie.
And that's that dilemma for Michael Cooper as Katie Smith releases the 3. And LA will have it. The dilemma for Cooper is he loves that fast break style of basketball, and that's maybe when the Sparks can be at their best, but then when you have a performer like Lisa Leslie, you want it down in the low post.
Janelle Burst just got called for that foul. She wanted a forearm to the throat. The official wouldn't have it. It goes in the favor of the Sparks.
And that is Burst's 3rd personal foul. And on her way to the hoop, Nikki Teasley tripped up, and they will give her 2 shots. Nice little continuation call for the hometown player.
Los Angeles just has more energy right now. They've come out in the second half. They're attacking Minnesota. They're taking it in, taking it right at them. Minnesota not moving their feet, just caught reaching, and that time Abrosamova gets the call.
Teasley battling the pain from that knee injury in game number 1, but she said the real pain was having to be a spectator in the second half.
That is so tough as a player to be on the sidelines knowing that you could make an impact, that you could give the team something, but they didn't want to take any chances with the knee, and what a fall it was. Just an odd circumstance. Very lucky to come out of that one with just a bruise.
A very unorthodox landing. Many people surprised that she didn't have some sort of ligament or tendon damage. The lead is the advantage of the Sparks, 41-28, 13-point advantage. They've led by as many as 16 in this game. First, working on Milton along the baseline, forcing it up, and a traveling call.
Things turning around for the defensive pressure for Los Angeles. Now they're getting the call.
Milton posting up on Burst. Spins past Burst. Loses it, and Katie Smith recovers from Minnesota, and now elbows thrown by both Burst and Milton. We'll see if we get a double foul here. No, a technical on Janelle Burst.
Well, an interesting situation. She and Delisha Milton got their arms tangled up after the rebound. And Janelle Burst throwing her arm away, trying to disconnect from Milton. But the official was there. Burst wanted the technical called on Milton. And in turn, it went the other way. Tom, Burst has been frustrated after the last 2 opportunities. You see Milton holding Burst's arm a bit. And Burst telling the official that, boy, she got the technical foul called on her. The last couple of times down, Burst has wanted the call, hasn't gotten it. She's frustrated. Got to keep her head in this game.
Burst has those 3 personal fouls as Mabika hits the tee. And a 14-point lead for LA. 16:51 to go here in the second half. We set the stage earlier. If you're just joining us, Minnesota taking game 1 in dramatic fashion, trying to polish off the 2-time defending champs here in game number 2. LA trying to force that deciding game 3 on Monday. Abrosamova check there by Dixon, who picks up the personal as she hits the wood.
Now Minnesota attacking Los Angeles, taking it at them. And that's definitely something that they have to do because it's such a big inside team Los Angeles has out there. They got to go at them.
Rosanova straight and sweet on the first one. One of those Olympians we talked about, having played for the Russian Olympic team back in 2000. Nails them both. 12-point lead now for LA. It'll be interesting to watch Susan Connell-Serio, too, if and when she pulls the trigger on that highly effective full-court press. Dixon lets it fly and plugs the three-pointer. Inside Burrs gets her own rebound. Still tapping, Teresa Edwards. What a beautiful dish to Tamika Williams, who will head to the line. A no-look flip underneath by Edwards.
That was pretty. You know, most players would have taken that rebound and brought it back out and started over. She saw three defenders coming at her, flipped it through them all to Williams.
Now the scoreboard is reading 14-point edge, now 13, so they gave Dixon a 2 on that last outside J. One of the officials is overruled because they did get one signal for the three-pointer. Williams drops them both. Teresa Edwards, who finished 6th in the WNBA in assists, and this her quote-unquote rookie season. And I don't think anybody's buying into that. Oh, the touch pass. Leslie and Mabika blows it. The one-timer by Lisa Leslie setting up Mabika, who blew the wide-open layup.
Mika couldn't believe how open she was. That time she was on the left side, shot it with her right. She didn't really have a good angle.
Spinning around to try to jar it loose. Milton picks up the personal foul. And we have a timeout here from the Staples Center. 16:51 to go in the second half. The LA Sparks led by 10 at halftime, currently up by a dozen. And this series against Minnesota, the LA Sparks, what a phenomenal statistic. They actually had swept 5 of their previous 6 series en route to their 2 titles. So they lose game number 1 against Minnesota, and no thoughts of giving up this series here tonight.
Dixon so close to a three-pointer on that one, but her toe just on the line. But nonetheless, beautiful shot. Got a sweet stroke. Yeah, you talk about the situation. LA hasn't been in this situation. They haven't had to win 2 in a row since the 2000 playoffs. They're not used to being in this situation.
Michael Cooper, again, very calm before tonight's game. Inside dish, burst off the glass and rims out.
That's the kind of opportunity you cannot pass up. First, with an open look.
Now just 2 of 6 from the field for Janelle Burst. And now a referee's timeout as we have a chain on the floor near midcourt. We lost a little bit of jewelry. I'll go, bring it right over here. Krista would love to have this. There you go.
I would think so.
That looked wonderful on you.
Looks great with my outfit. I'm going to wear this to the playoffs.
Trying to figure out who owns that. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough.
It's not gold-plated, I'll tell you that. But I'll take it.
Tiny silver. Referees know how to butter up the broadcast.
Maybe it's platinum. Look at that back.
Mabika fires away from 17 feet and down it goes.
Really spreading the ball around. Los Angeles getting everybody involved. Now 3 players in double figures for the Sparks.
Mabika coming close to that as well. She now has 8 points for LA. Stolen away by Moati Mabika on the run out.
Give another turnover to the Minnesota Lynx. 18 on the night.
And it's led to 20 LA points.
Once they get it, they know what to do with it. And the aggressive defense producing a lot of offense for the Sparks.
Lob pass by Katie Smith, nowhere near the intended target. Turnover number 19. Things starting to come apart for Minnesota. Down by 16, and that equals the biggest lead of the evening for LA.
And you can sense the confidence building for Los Angeles as plays like this happen. The pass just off and behind Katie Smith. Nabika read it perfectly.
And now mass substitutions by Minnesota as they bring in Van Gorp, Harrower, and Cherie Sam.
Nabika really turning things up for the Sparks.
Susie McConnell-Serio very apt to go to her bench throughout the regular season in the playoffs. LA, they pretty much stick with their starting five. The follow-up by Lisa Leslie. Unchecked under the basket.
That's the off-the-backboard pass from Peasley to Lisa Leslie.
And now the biggest lead of the night for Los Angeles. They are up 18. Katie Smith, Van Gorp trying to draw the foul on Leslie. Rebounded by Tamika Williams. Katie Smith lines up a three. And Leslie rips it away. Minnesota desperately needed that three. Instead, the three-pointer is drilled by Delisha Milton.
She's got the range. Delisha Milton, I think they may have only given her a 2 on that one.
And now Minnesota coughs it up again. LA looking to build on that 20-point lead. Leslie inside. Sparks starting to run away with this in the second half, and Susie McConnell-Serio wants to stop the bleeding. The 22nd timeout.
And Tom, the crowd is into it, on their feet. They got the thunder sticks, they got the signs. They're into it.
LA Sparks finishing the regular season with the second best record in the league, finishing out 24-10, second only to the Detroit Shock. They were 25-9. They were revved up for the playoffs, but again, Shock in game number 1 at the Target Center, now in control of game 2.
LA is really mixing it up, and that makes it so hard to defend. The outside shooting is on. They're also able to get the ball inside. Lisa Leslie, strong move, steals off the D. Just keeps on moving down. No one stepped over Minnesota to try to shut her off.
Leslie now 15 points and 7 boards for the Sparks. Minnesota's high for turnovers in a game this year, 27. They have reached 20. Nearly 13 minutes still left to play. Williams backing in on Leslie off the front of the rim, but draws the foul. That's the third personal on Lisa Leslie. So that will send Tamika Williams to the line. Number 6 overall pick in last year's college draft. She finished second last year in her rookie season in offensive rebounding, fourth this year, so she does a lot of damage going underneath the hoop. Shaquela Williams checking in for Tamika Dixon, and she is quite the story herself. Shaquela took a shot to the jaw in game 1 and actually lost feeling side of her face to the point where she couldn't even talk, call out plays.
Yeah, she got hit in the jaw muscle when it locked her jaw up, so she couldn't call out the plays, couldn't finish the game. That's where you need the hand signals. You need plays with hand signals.
So not only were the Sparks without Nikki Peasley, then they lose their rookie from Oregon, Shaquela Williams. Her pass picked off by Tamika Williams. She has Milton to beat. Milton hammers her from behind, and Tamika Williams will head to the stripe for 2.
With deja vu of the game in Minnesota. And Williams just overplays the way it pays off, gets the steal, but Milton making sure she wasn't going to make the layup.
And now Milton will get a blow with her 13 points, but 4th personal foul right there.
A lot of time left in this ballgame. Now Milton with 4 personals. We got Leslie and Nabika, as well as Dixon with 3 personals.
Starting to add up for LA. Tamika Williams just a 48% free throw shooter during the course of the regular season, but she sticks a pair there.
A 67% shooter from the field, 48% for the free throw line.
set a new WNBA record by shooting that 67% from the field. Now slipping Alisa Burris, who had set it the previous season at 62%. Sharice Ann going for the pick, knocks it out of bounds, and LA will have it with 13 on the shot clock. The lead is 20.
Still a lot of time in Minnesota trying to pick up the D. To pick it up a lot as LA is caught fire.
Jen Gillum now seeing her first action of the game. And a foul against Los Angeles. And it's Lisa Leslie with her fourth personal. Trying to create space down in the low post. And whistle for number 4. Harrower back down into Van Dorp, and Jen Gillum, just as she checks in, tends to be the focus of the other team's offense.
Jen Gillum, a veteran in this league, and formerly with the Phoenix Mercury for so many years, steps into the Sparks lineup this year. A little bit of that fifth speed, still got some offense in her, but Michelle Van Dorp realizing a little more mobile than Jen Gillum and took it at her.
Still loves that baseline fadeaway, though. That is money for Jen Gillum.
Classic grandmama. And on the other end, I'm not sure what happened there. As the double team came down, Lisa Leslie was trying to make a pass out and away. They called her for the foul.
Lisa still not happy with the officiating. Talked about her comments about being a sad day for women's basketball following game 1. Katie Smith had other thoughts. She said she thought it was an exceptional day for women's basketball, the way that game transpired and the drama in the final seconds.
Anybody can come back when they're down by any amount of points.
Gillum, 17-footer. Over the top of the backboard, not a bounds. And a timeout on the floor. 11:45 to go here in the second half. And the Sparks still firmly in control, leading the Minnesota Lynx by 19. You are watching the WNBA playoffs on NBA TV.
At this pace, it looks like that's going to happen. But a lot of time left in this game, though, Tom. And you know, Minnesota, they're the comeback team.
Comeback is, but just 1 of 9 from the field for Minnesota here in the second half. They need an offensive spark. As Shaquilla Williams tries to poke it away and picks up the personal foul. Little Shaq, and I mean little, compared to the larger version here in Los Angeles. Van Dorp backing down on Gillum, and that's an offensive foul on Michelle Van Dorp of Minnesota. Jen Gillum trying to stand her ground.
Van Dorp did not agree, but what player really ever does, you know? You can see it. She comes in physically, but she swung that arm, and you just can't go in that physically.
LA Sparks have 4 players in double figures. Van Dorp now picking up her 4th personal foul. Leading the way, Tamika Dixon has 15, Milton with 13, Dixon 11, and Mabika with 10 for the Sparks. Beasley, kick it over now to Dixon, who had 4 steals in the first half. Rebound tipped over to Katie Smith. Dixon now has 5 steals on the game. Down low, Gillum still battling with Van Dorp, and this time the veteran Jen Gillum picking up the foul.
Boy, and how many circumstances has Van Dorp been involved with down low? Such physical play.
You're not shy about throwing around those elbows.
Not at all.
So Van Dorp steps to the stripe. As that is now the 8th team foul on Los Angeles with nearly 11 minutes still to play. So LA already in the penalty situation.
Michael Cooper, always so calm. The most animated I've ever seen him was in the loss in Minnesota.
Again, just 5 minutes there for Jen Gillum. Love to grab that ring here in the tail end of her career. And here is the full court press now applied by Minnesota. So effective in game 1. But Lisa Leslie, great
Excellent communication by the Sparks to find Lisa Leslie on that one. They broke it down. And Minnesota did a pretty good job in pressuring things, but Leslie just didn't stop, kept running, got the pass, and got it to go.
Sparks dissecting that press, so it appears Tamika Dixon could be a prophet. She said, go ahead, bring that press on. Katie Smith draws the foul and the hoop.
Right back at him, though, the Minnesota Lynx, not afraid to keep the tempo up. They have to keep attacking the Sparks if they're going to give themselves a chance here. Katie Smith just beats Mabika. Leans in, draws the contact, not a lot of contact. Katie just gets behind Mabika. That right arm came down just a little bit.
Katie Smith, of course, having that career year in 2001 when she set a new WNBA record, averaging 23 points per game. She once scored 46, a WNBA record in one game. It came against the Sparks here in LA. Off the Sparks turnover, Cherie Sam down the lane, and they'll give it to Minnesota. LA said it went off of Sam's knee.
This crowd not happy with the call.
The lead is 16 now for Michael Cooper. Biggest lead so far for LA here in the second half, 22 points. Again, they led game one in the second half by 21. Smith working on Mabika. Fires up to two. And the long shot drained by Katie Smith. And all of a sudden, it's a 14-point game.
Katie Smith creating her own offense. That was just excellent ball handling that got herself open.
Minnesota has shaved 8 points off of that lead. And the foul as Cherie Sam busted there on defense.
16 fouls now for Minnesota. 2 more will put the Sparks to the line.
A bit of a half fest here in the second half, especially for LA, reaching that penalty situation. The first 9 minutes inside and a push as Milton is battling for position on Tamika Williams.
Now it's getting choppy. Both teams committing a few more fouls, as you said, and going to the line a little bit more. I think that happens, though, in basketball. The first half, you just kind of go with the flow. The second half, you realize this is the last half. We have to do something here, and it gets a little more physical.
So Minnesota 1 away from that penalty situation. Harrower shadowing Dixon, and now it's Milton. Drops it down low to Leslie. Fades from 10. Boarded by Katie Smith. Smith in a hurry, off the pick by Van Gorp. And now Harrower thinks about that arch deluxe, finds Tamika Williams, and she scores the gimme inside. And the lead is down to 12. Through the Sparks, hear the footsteps once again. Michael Cooper now gets up from his bench position and calls out the set offense for LA. Teasley past 3 Lynx defenders, and it drops.
Couple of long strides in the lane that got it to go, and I think she wanted the foul. The end one.
And now it's Harrower with the left hand past Lisa Leslie, and she picks up the personal, hacking Milton from behind. Frustration foul there for Harrower, and that's a costly foul because that will send LA to the line. You need to pick your spots from fouling now if it indeed results in free throws.
Los Angeles as a team shoots 79% from the line. The kind of team you want to put there very often. But that was a frustration foul. Christy Harrower, she had a chance. Actually, I didn't think she was going to take it against Lisa Leslie. She got it up in the air and then tried to follow through and get the offensive board.
LA, as you mentioned, with that 79% from the stripe, second best in the league during the course of the regular season, and Milton drops the first. 14 points now for Delisha Milton. And LA 12 of 15 at the line. Make that 13 of 16. So after Minnesota pulled within 12, back to a 16-point edge. Smith, Lisa Leslie out on the perimeter, drives right past Leslie, but she gets a piece of it. And now it's Smith again, tossed out off the foot of Tamika Williams, LA ball. A relentless Katie Smith there on offense. She did blow past Leslie, but with those long arms at the loft, Leslie was still able to get a piece of it. Leslie collides and will head to the line. Rams right into Christy Harrower.
The foul might have been on Michelle Van Gorp. Michelle just did not move her feet. Got her with the body. Harrower was there, but not in time. The foul called before that.
Christy Harrower is just fearless, whether it be taking it on the drive, trying to put a left-hander over Leslie, or trying to take the charge.
Lisa Leslie that time gets the ball down the block with one dribble. She gets so much space. Just one big step and she's already down below the block, ready for a layup. Christy Harrower, much smaller. You know, this is a much bigger Minnesota team. They have 7 players that are 6 foot or taller, and just one, Christy Harrower, under 5'11", so they've really gotten taller.
17-point lead. Cherie Sam uncorks the outside shot, and a loose ball foul against L.A. Mabika was down there, although Delisha Milton will be the one whistled for the infraction. And that is now number 5 on Delisha Milton. Milton has 15 points, 8 boards, and now her 5th personal foul.
8:08 left in this game. Now Van Gorp from Minnesota also has 5 personals. Both will stay out there for now.
Cooper now will go to the bench and bring in Vanessa Nygaard to replace Milton and her 5 personals.
Looks like Van Gorp is out for Minnesota as well. Teresa Edwards checks back in.
Keep an eye on Minnesota. Tamika Williams, if she connects on this free throw, expect the Lynx to go into that full court trap. And there they go. Get it into the capable hands of Nikki Teasley. Up ahead to Dixon. What a difference Teasley makes. Dixon thought about the 3. On the move, through the obstacle course, and down it goes for Tamika Dixon.
Thought Dixon might have tweaked her ankle a little bit on that one, but she's tough. She's holding the knee.
And she did have one of those injuries that occurred to the plethora of Sparks players, injuring her knee and missing some action during the course of the regular season. And there is the WNBA version of the wedgie, as applied by Katie Smith. Don't see that very often.
That one to go in.
No. You don't see it very often, and Katie Smith wishes she'd never see it again. Meanwhile, the LA Sparks continue to impress here in game number 2. Tamika Dixon off the glass and down. Lisa Leslie's mother enjoying this one, a 17-point lead for the Sparks. Lisa, 18 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists so far.
Her daughter putting on a show in so many different areas. That one, the putback, was so strong. Aggressive move to the right. Hard to stop that. She is so tough, so strong inside. Really, again, just with one dribble, makes such large strides. It's just amazing how much distance she can cover.
Lisa has 2 offensive rebounds. You saw one putback there, too, where you just have to put a body on her if you're Minnesota. And really, that's the case with so many athletes on this LA team. Just can't take your eyes off of them. Because of that wedgie on the shot by Katie Smith, we'll have a jump ball here at midcourt. Tamika Williams and Lisa Leslie. Tapped into the hands of Vanessa Nygaard, the former Stanford star, seeing her first action of this series. Nygaard right over the top of Christy Harrower.
Nygaard, a hustle player, 6'1", as you said, out of Stanford. This player has been all over the WNBA, but they picked her up on a short-term contract, and then with the situations that have been going on here in Los Angeles and some injuries, they've kept her on.
Those are the first bench points for LA in this game as Katie Smith goes window. Katie Smith now 5 of 13 from the field. She's just 1 of 4 from behind the line. Smith now has 14 from Minnesota. Yet they still trail by 17. Back into the hands of Teasley. Working the baseline off the glass.
That's what happened. She Cherie Sam goes for the steal, almost had it, but didn't get it.
Oh, the one-handed bouncer by Edwards, setting up Tamika Williams, who tried to polish off a three-point play. A dandy dish by Teresa Edwards.
What a collision, though. Mabika feeling that one as she's holding her left eye. You can see Williams just cutting to the basket. What a beautiful bounce pass. Mabika and Williams collide.
Williams unable to finish off the three-point play, though. Tamika now has 14 points in the game. Fadeaway, Dixon. Kept out of bounds, and it will be Minnesota ball. On the inner, Krista Blunt here from the Staples Center. Game 2, Lynx and Sparks. Tamika Williams. Down goes Leslie, and to the line goes Williams once again. And that is number 5 on Lisa Leslie. So both Alicia Milton, who will return now for LA, and Leslie with 5 personal fouls.
Credit to the Lynx. They attacked the Sparks that time. The Sparks came down, got caught standing, and Williams just doesn't stop. Until she's down on the block, she is not finished.
It feels like she delivered a crushing blow to Leslie. I believe Lisa Moore lost her balance on that play, but she will check out with the 18 points and replaced by Milton.
She has been beat up this season. 5 fouls, but 18 points on the evening. This crowd showing their appreciation.
Tamika Williams with that foul string. Back-to-back plays. She sends down Mabika and then Lisa Leslie. 15-point lead. Williams, again though, for the second straight time, unable to finish off a three-point play. Look at the ball handling exhibition by Keegan. Dixon off the screen by Nygaard. 10 on the shot clock. It's Nygaard again over Harrower. Keep wondering why she's covering the 6'1" Vanessa Nygaard. In a hurry, Edwards. And now it's Cherie Sam amongst the Timbers. Gets it back. Sam on the second try, and down it goes.
Lynx just will not give up.
And now we have Tamika Dixon. Looks like she took a shot to the skull as well. Anything here tonight. Minnesota has been handing out some punishment.
A few more bruises as it goes into that third game.
Does anything frustrate Ricky Beasley? Look at how controlled she is.
She is really an impressive player and just keeps getting better and better in the
That three nearly dropped. And here comes Edwards. Turns on the jet. Up over her head and off the glass. Spectacular shot by Teresa Edwards. And once again, Minnesota knocking on the door. They're down 12. 5 minutes to go, second half. And Michael Cooper will call a 20-second timeout. What a shot by Teresa Edwards. A majestic move as she put it high off the glass.
Michael Cooper not happy with what he was seeing. Teresa Edwards doesn't tend to look for her shot that often, averages 5 points per game. She just wraps around Vanessa Nygaard, up and under. Pretty amazing. A couple of long steps, one big long up and under move.
Anybody else, you would call that a desperation heave, but for the 39-year-old five-time Olympian, that was all skill, and there is a foul trouble for LA. 3 players, 1 foul away from being DQ'd in this one.
That hurts. With 4:58 left in the game. 3 major players with 5 personals.
Lynx now on a 9-2 run over the last 2 minutes to pull within 12, and the foul on Cherie Sam. Harassing Teasley out on the perimeter.
That will give free throws to the Sparks.
Both teams in the penalty situation with 4:55 to go. Teasley shot 88% from the line during the regular season and nailed the first. Teasley, of course, capturing the All-Star MVP honor. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals in the All-Star game. second one. Falls as well for Nikki Teasley. The lead is 14 for LA. Edwards looking for Tamika Williams. Kicks it out to Harrower. Katie Smith launches up the three. Give it to her. Second three-pointer tonight for Katie.
So strong. They're like free throws for Katie Smith, the three-pointer. It's just like a free throw.
17 points on the night for Katie Smith, who had 23 in game one. Breaking free, Milton off the toss from Teasley.
Beautiful pass. That was just eye contact between Teasley and Milton.
Now Sam spinning past Teasley off the glass, grabs her own rebound and a loose ball foul. They'll keep it here on Los Angeles.
Lynx just not giving up in that win in Minnesota. We talk about the major comeback that they had. They outscored the Sparks 30-12. Katie way outside the line. You can't give her an inch.
She shot a career best 39% from behind the line during the regular season as Cherie Sam knocks down the first free toss. Next, she also shot a career best 46% from the floor for Katie Smith. Oh, second one rattles out to Sam, grabs her own rebound, and she's grabbed and tugged on the jersey by Teasley, who somehow has the gall to dispute that foul. And now a technical on Teasley. I wondered if she could be rattled, and apparently she has been here with 4:12 to go. So cool and composed, but losing her composure right there. And I don't know what she's complaining about because it was obvious that she grabbed the jersey of Cherie Sam.
Yeah, you know, Delisha Milton was there as well. And had it been against Delisha Milton, she would have fouled out on that one. They give it to Teasley, and Michael Cooper had to get up to see what was going on. Here we see Milton with the box out on Katie Smith. There's no doubt that Teasley grabbed the jersey.
And then complains.
She wanted something to be called before that happened, possibly.
You never know what she did. You couldn't see it there to break free, tracking down her own missed free throw, and back to the line goes Sam. This plays right into the hands of Minnesota. They'd love to make this a free throw shooting contest and just shut down that clock. And now they are under double figures, trailing by 9. They came back from 21 down in game one, stripped out of bounds by Edwards.
Cool Witherspoon in now for Los Angeles.
And this will be her first action of the playoffs.
It didn't last very long.
No, out she goes.
At least we got her name out.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll appreciate that.
We're starting to see some of the same traits as in game one with all the foul trouble. Told you all the players with 5 personals for LA, so they must be extra cautious defensively. They want it to Leslie down low. Double team easily for 3. Too strong. Knocked around and controlled by Dixon now. 3:45 and counting.
Katie Smith is now guarding Lisa Leslie.
But she's getting a lot of help, and the hack there by Teresa Edwards, who felt like she had all leather. But of course, replays don't lie. Curious to see if the veteran got away with that one. But it's a foul on Edwards, and we have a timeout. 3:40 to go. It was once a 22-point lead for the Sparks. It's now a 9-point edge.
Bam! This is hair color magic. Flat color disappears like that.
Varia Pure Prismatic Color by
18 points for her tonight.
Not impressive in terms of numbers from the field, but she and the Lynx are as close as they have been since there was 36 seconds left to go in the first half. It was a 34-26 game. LA led by 10 at halftime, and as I mentioned, up by as many as 22.
Free throws becoming a big factor in a game like this. LA now 17 of 21.
And we have seen 49 free throws by the two teams combined. Minnesota has been to the line 28 times, canning 21. And both dropped for Mabika. That's a double-digit lead, and Minnesota turns it over. We have not said that much here in the second half. their 23rd turnover, but they hung on to the ball awfully well in the last 8 to 9 minutes, and thus the comeback.
Too many turnovers, too many opportunities handed over to the Sparks.
Their 23 turnovers have led to 26 Spark points. Dixon. And they want her to work on Harrower. Kicks it out to an open Teasley. 3 for 3. Harrower grabs the board. Edwards jacks up the 3, and straight and sweet for Teresa Edwards. And with 3 minutes to go, we have an 8-point lead for LA. And the turnover. Mabika throws it right into the hands of Williams. Cherie Sam kicks it out. Arch Deluxe for Harrower. Way too strong. But Williams has the offensive position. And now Edwards fires up another 3. Harrower knocks it out of bounds, and LA will have it. Teresa Edwards with that last 3 reminiscent of game 1 when she hit her only hoop late in that second half. And Michael Cooper starting to sweat this one out.
Minnesota with some opportunities. Second and third chances. Just could not get the shot to go. LA just wants to wind that clock down.
Easily defended there by Cherie Sam. Now it's Dixon. 10 on the shot clock. They work it into Leslie. Spinning. Working on Williams off the window. Release to Leslie.
Pretty play by Lisa Leslie.
That's why they call her smooth.
It was smooth. Williams just got caught standing.
Sam gets past Mabika and hits the 6-footer on the leaner. Under 2 minutes to go. 8-point game. Into the front court comes Mabika. And now LA again will try to milk the clock. Down low, Leslie. 10 on the clock. Once again defended by Williams. Up and down, jump ball. Tamika Williams just standing flat-footed with the hands straight up. And surprising that the 6'5" Leslie not able to shoot over the top.
She did it the time before, but Leslie able to move around Williams as she stood there that time to jump ball.
So Williams and Leslie jump it off, and Tamika Dixon comes away with the tap. 5 on the shot clock, though, for LA. Dixon in low, and she'll head to the line. Minute 26 to play, and now Dixon, one of the best free throw shooting players on the Spark squad, will head to the line. 88%.
Some pretty good shooting. Tamika Dixon, such a leader for this team. Two-time All-Star, missed a couple of games. Again, she's had those knee injuries. They have just plagued her, but you'd never know it the way she's played here tonight.
Second one rattles in. Dixon now has 15 points, and the lead is back to 10. Katie Smith loses it, and then picks up the personal.
Katie wanted the foul called earlier. She thought she got bumped.
So once again, they will march to the other end of the court for more LA free throws. And time obviously a factor here. Minute 17 to go, and Nikki Teasley is today's Cascade Dish and Assist winner for her performance and coming back from that knee injury she sustained in game number 1. Teasley now with 11 points, 8 assists, and a couple of rebounds. But more importantly, been in control of the offense, especially in the second half, taking great care of that basketball under duress.
She has made the difference. There was so much pressure being applied by Minnesota. Still pretty effective, and they were able to go on a little run and get back in this one, but with Teasley out there, it was just a much different game.
Dixon knocks them both down. 12-point lead for LA. And it appears we are headed for a Game 3 on Monday as Lisa Leslie eradicates Cherie Sam.
Done a much better job playing with foul trouble in this game.
You had plenty of candidates for that player of the game. But when you come to dish and assist, and Teasley with the 8. In Game 1, it was Teresa Edwards leading all players with 9 dishes. Katie Smith, straight, rattles out the 3. Inside, it's Tamika Williams again, sent out by Leslie. And Milton rips it away. And LA on their way to tying up this series. Harrower trying to pick up the personal foul, and there's the whistle. LA 22 of 26 from the free throw line, solidifying this game number 2. And the fans, they are on their feet now at the Staples Center, letting the Sparks know they will be here again on Monday. Lisa Leslie, now our Chevy player of the game, 20 points, 9 rebounds. She's been playing with those 5 personal fouls again late here in the second half, but able to log the minutes, held to just 29 minutes in game number 1. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation will receive $1,000 on behalf of Lisa Leslie, our Chevy player of the game. LA by 13 with 47.7 seconds left. Susie McConnell-Serio will now look ahead to strategy for game number 3. Just too much of a mount decline for this Lynx team here in game number 2. They were able to claw back from 21 down in game number 1, down by as many as 22. They got to within 8, but Lisa Leslie and the Sparks had the answer as they started to chalk it up from the free throw line. And the lady who has earned the trifecta, MVP of the All-Star Game, the finals, and the WNBA, turning on Tamika Williams, creating the space, and those are the high percentage shots that LA has become accustomed to, and when they need that go-to hoop, Lisa Leslie is the player they've turned to. And again, you can't say enough about Michael Cooper and the loss of his star player, Lisa Leslie, during those 11 games. The record's saying it all. Just 4 and 7 in her absence. Alicia Milton checks out for the evening as she registered a double-double with 17 points and 10 rebounds. So all 5 LA Sparks starters scoring in double figures. They only get 2 points off the bench from Vanessa Nygaard. All the rest of the damage done by the LA starters. So Tamika Williams, the Minnesota Lynx, will hold over here in Los Angeles. Practice tomorrow, and then back at it on Labor Day in game 3. It appears Minnesota now content to let the clock run out. LA Sparks, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Mabika wouldn't fall. And Minnesota, the 4th seed, will head to a game 3. Katie Smith will get it to fall with the left hand. And now the seconds will whittle away for the victorious LA Sparks. The 2-time defending champions have forced a deciding game number 3. (80-69) the final, and the series is tied at 1-1. Michael Cooper said there would be no tricks, no gimmicks to motivate his LA Sparks. He wanted to see the pride of the 2-time defending champs, and never underestimate the heart of a champion.